Warning. During the recording of this live feed, we experienced internet issues that affected the overall viewing quality. We understand this may be hard to watch at times, but the information and dialogue was too good not to share. Our internet issues have since been fixed and upgraded, and this will not be an issue in the future. Thank you for watching and enjoy the show.
Looking
I
for
guarantee
Steve
you don't.
in all the wrong places. Looking for Steve.
Are you actually live right now?
We're live right now.
No. This is how this is supposed to happen right here.
Oh,
All right, look, we got people in the back. So Chase, I'm doing your job right now. I'm going to do it as good as you, which means I'm cutting my face off, your face off. We're just going
You could do that
just
'cause I'm
down.
pretty cut down here right now.
All right. What do we got going on here today, Chase? What are we doing?
Vegas to Reno race report, and we got some big names in here. I know that we didn't finish the race. That doesn't mean that we didn't have drivers that didn't. And you know, not all of our drivers did finish, so we figure we're going to give you guys the nitty gritty, the real stories behind Vegas to Reno.
That's actually a pretty good intro. Not too bad, especially since you had no prep whatsoever. Steve cannot be part of it, so we can't have Steve's intro. Thank you guys for tuning in to this live feed. Obviously, Chase just let you know exactly what we're up to, which is going to be race reports from basically the top, I don't know, I'm not going to do the math. We got basically everybody on the podium, and we got some other fast guys below that, us not included, to tell you exactly what happened in this race, give you an idea what the race was like, hopefully, and you can see kind of the personalities of all the racers amongst each other, which is kind of fun too. If you have questions, then send them. We got Matt hiding over in the corner, and we got the other race guys that are going to surf through all your questions. Try and keep them quick, because we're trying to move as fast as we can too, to try and make this not a 1 hour long feed. Race reports for Vegas to Reno 2021. We're going to start off kind of with those who had problems first, ourselves included, and work our way up to the podium and then to the winner of the race. And Austin Weiland is going to call in, as well as Phil Blurton, even though he had a short race. So Phil, feel free to call in since you're on the lower end of the finishing order, which is awesome for us to be able to say that. All the other racers behind Chase are just reveling in the idea that you didn't win this race and we all finished ahead of you.
That is kind of different.
It is very, very different. That's for sure. So first, I want to bring Sean Geiser in. Sean, come on in. Have a seat, bud. How's it going?
Good, yeah.
So, Sean Geiser, BDI, and Bruce Binnquist. Basically, one team, all these names kind of combined, right?
Yep.
And Sean, you are the engineer behind most of the car, all of the fabrication and work that goes into that car. One of the most advanced electronically and engineering-wise cars in the field, with a ton of carbon fiber and fast driver. So how did your race go? Describe it a little bit. Let's start with qualifying.
Well, me and Bruce decided, this race that we were gonna split it into two different sections. Bruce was gonna do the start. I was gonna do the middle sector, and then he was gonna bring it home for the finish. We tried something new for qualifying that we hadn't really done yet, and it wasn't the best move, but we still qualified, I think 7th or 8th maybe.
You got Bruce online?
I think I got your partner in crime on
There
the
you go.
line.
Pull him
I
in.
got Mr. Bruce Binnquist himself. Bruce, what's going on, man?
Hey, you guys, how are you?
There he is.
We're good, Bruce. You might have to yell a little bit because we don't have the volume on our phone over here. We got some pretty low tech with Chase involved, but we're going to do the best that we can. Sean started off by talking about qualifying. Why don't you tell us how qualifying went for you? We know that you finished 7th in qualifying, which kicked ass.
Yep, so our qualifying, we were a little committed to our race setup. So we had elected to qualify on 30-inch tires. We had done that because we were planning on a fast race and a little bit different clutching setup.
Hey Bruce, were you doing 30s to try and maybe get the acceleration and gearing for qualifying?
Yeah, exactly. We had gone with the 30-inch lightweight short course tire to try and get a little bit more acceleration in and out of the corner, and just missed it a little bit. There was quite a bit, big bumps, and I think we gave a little bit up in there, and I think that made the difference when we overlaid my telemetry with Austin Weiland's telemetry. All the time we had lost was in the big bumps.
Gotcha. Something you just said was kind of amazing to me. You and Austin are sharing telemetry? I thought this was a competition.
Yeah, no, we're running the same drivetrain package, so we talk pretty much most days. And we were able to take our AIM data cameras and do an overlay and see where his car was better and where our car was better.
That's pretty amazing that the winner of the race and somebody else that he's competing with can share that, kind of to better each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, every now and then we'll find things that are failing and we share with him, and likewise, he shares with us. So we've done that right from the beginning. And at the end of the day, let's just let the guy that races the best that day win.
How'd the beginning of the race go for you?
Good question. So after qualifying, we started the race 7th. We pushed really hard in the beginning there, and we were right behind Serapis and Weiland. Dust was brutal, and we kind of just worked our way on up through there till about race mile 53. We had a little bit of a drivetrain issue, and we were fighting against belt temps and some of that stuff that we ended up blowing a belt there.
Now, Bruce, you had mentioned that you guys might have had been in two-wheel drive, which is a big negative and hampers your speeds. Did you like driving sideways, or are you against it?
Yeah, no. So we raced from race mile 53 all the way to pit 5, and we ended up staying in two-wheel drive and just trying to keep the tires in line, as you know, when you got a two-wheel drive, no punctures, and try to hand Sean a car that was in decent shape, but was not the most fun.
Yeah, that's tough. I've driven a few two-wheel drive races, more than I would like to recollect, and we get that question a lot, whether normal play cars should be in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, and certainly in racing, the four-wheel drive is much faster. I can attest to that. Dust was brutal, agreed. We actually got in front of you when you had a belt issue, which, and we probably held you up quite a bit after that, but at the next pit, I think it was 2 or 3, you got around us, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, getting into the next pit there, Justin was nice enough as we got on his bumper to let us by, and we tried to just create a little bit of clear air there for him as we went chasing down Friday and Dustin and Austin and the rest of the guys.
So after that, you guys, you did the driver's change, and how'd that go? Sean, why don't you take over?
Yeah, so Bruce got out at pit 5, and I think that's, you might have gotten back past us when we were in that pit or right before it.
Maybe so.
Yep.
I'm not really sure. It was a bit of a fog. I was trying to keep up with Bruce.
I think that was, yeah, we got back in, and me and Tanner elected to run the whole race, navigate the whole thing by himself, which he's like a phenomenal navigator. And we jumped in, and we were just settling in and lost oil pressure. We were hoping it was just a sensor, and then about a couple miles later, popped the motor, and our day was done a little early. So I got a wonderful 24 miles in before that happened.
Vegas to Reno is not nice to very many people, that's for sure.
No, it's long, hot, and dusty. It's it's the biggest race in the U.S., so that kind of thing happens. So.
Well, that's racing.
Yep.
And you guys are knee deep in the car, prepping it for the next race and getting ready for Laughlin.
Yep. We'll be at Laughlin. The boys are tearing everything apart right now, and we're going back to try and go get you guys again at the next one. So that's the plan.
Awesome, Bruce. If you're still there, then thanks for signing in. Really appreciate all of the race report from you, and good luck at the next race. Hopefully, you don't have any engine issues, and you're going to be up in the front for sure. Definitely one of the fastest cars on.
Thank you guys. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Bruce. Have a good one. Sean, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to bring
Appreciate
in
it.
Jake next.
Absolutely, yeah, thank you.
All right, so next.
We got people asking where Steve is at. Will you explain to everyone on the feed? Where is Steve?
Steve had a hell of a week last week, and he told me today that last week's pain was coming into this week, and he's dealing with some kids and other things at home. He wanted to be here and would have come in just for the feed, but I told him no, just do your thing so you can get back here faster. I'm sure you'll see him on Thursday. Steve is fine. But Jake, come on in here and do a quick left-handed shake.
Yeah.
Jake Carver, everybody. Carver Racing. If you don't know who Jake is, then you shouldn't be watching any off-road, or you need to be watching more of it. Been around a long time and has a hell of a race program and some wins and podiums many wins and podiums. So there's a little bit of backstory to your race report, and that is that you sold your race car, built a new race car, and finished it the week before, put 80 miles on it, and showed up at this race.
Yeah.
So take over there, how that went.
Yeah, so basically, I wanted to run a new car, wanted to run the Pro XP platform, the new Razor. And just time-wise, it was tough getting it done, and we started the build back in February, and everything was going pretty smooth. So I figured I could get it done, and just trying to focus on that car, I decided to get rid of my old car, which might have been a little bit premature, but sold that car, and didn't really have a choice but to finish the new Pro XP for this race. A few things went wrong. Parts are really hard to get right now, just with everything that's going on. So it was a little bit later than envisioned, but the couple weeks before the race, we put a solid 80 miles of testing on the car, and it was essentially flawless. There was a few little things that we went through, worked with Justin quite a bit on spring in the car and getting the suspension as dialed as it could be for the short notice of the race. So everything was good and seemed like we had a solid chance at Vegas to Reno. We've done good at Vegas to Reno several times, so thought we had a solid car going into it. And then of course, Best in the Desert threw the wild card of qualifying at us. So
Did you like the idea or no?
Yeah, I've always been a little bit against qualifying myself, just because it takes so much more time for the team.
Why? You mean because of the extra days?
Yeah, just the extra days. All the guys that help me out, they're all working class guys just like me, and it's extra time away from their families and time away from their work schedules and everything like that. So it makes it a little bit tougher logistically for everybody to make it happen. So I've kind of been against it for that, and quite honestly, I'm not totally against it, but for Vegas to Reno, many times people have started in the back and came from the back and won the race. So I never really thought Vegas to Reno would be like the first race that we had to do it. Maybe like a park or a shorter race would be, it would help you more, in my personal opinion. But no, I wasn't against it. I was happy to do it. It's kind of a fun thing, and it's cool for some media coverage and whatnot for everybody outside of the racing. So no, it was going to be fun until it happened.
But you had an issue in qualifying. What was that?
Yeah, so in qualifying, we had an issue that we didn't have during testing. Had an issue with a part that was new on the car that was flawless for the first 80 miles of running, and then of course it made it only, a few hundred feet into qualifying. We hit a big G out, and the part kind of came loose. So unfortunately, we had an issue with that, and from there, we were the slowest person out on the course, I'm sure. So at that point, we were just trying to basically get off the course, get through the lap, and get back to the pit so we could work on the car. On the back straightaway, we were almost done. We started getting caught by another car who I could see. We were still able to do about 50 miles an hour, but I could see that car coming, and when you started getting close, my co-driver was like, all right, you got to get out of the way. And I was trying to get out of the way, but he basically never lifted, never siren, nothing, which I get it. It's qualifying. It's not in the race. And he nerfed me, which was fine. No big deal. That's part of the game. And there was a hard right-hand turn coming, so I was only a few car lengths away, figured I'd go straight off the corner and get off the track and stay out of his way as much as I could, just because there was bushes and huge mounds of dirt and everything on the sides, and I didn't want to rip something off the car. So so basically I went straight off the corner, thought I was out of the way, no problem, kind of let the dust clear for just a second, and figured he'd gone by because he'd already hit me. I figured he was right on my bumper, and I grabbed the wheel and went to turn right to kind of circle back towards the course, and right when I turned right, he came flying by at like 60 and hit my front tire, and it yanked the wheel the opposite way and fractured my wrist.
So in qualifying, you actually broke your wrist from the steering wheel whipping back when they tapped the tire when it was turned.
Yeah. I didn't think it was broken, honestly. I thought I was being kind of a baby, and I thought it was just maybe sprained or something. It was really swollen up, but it wasn't bruising or anything. So, I mean, I'm obviously nowhere near a doctor, but I didn't think it was that bad. So I kind of made the decision to just go get, actually, this one's from urgent care, but I got a brace similar to this just at CVS. Threw that bad boy on and took some ibuprofen and hit the racetrack. So
loaded up on painkillers and started the race.
Yeah,
500-mile race, longest race in the U.S.
Yep.
With an inflamed, totally swollen, possibly broken, and found out later broken wrist.
Yeah. It didn't feel that bad at the time with lots of ibuprofen and stuff. And also the adrenaline that's running through your body when you're racing. You don't really feel that stuff. So. I was just hoping I wasn't making it worse, but we were there and it just seemed like the thing to do at the time, I guess.
So how'd the first 250 miles go?
First 250 miles for us were solid. The issues we found in qualifying, we spent a long time, fixing in a parking garage after qualifying. So got all of that stuff figured out, did some more testing, tuned our clutches, got everything set up pretty much the way we wanted it. And the car was handling great. So went to the race course. First 250 miles were pretty flawless. We had, I think, 2 or 3 pits in that duration of the race. And, our guys killed it. We were in and out of pits in probably 10 to 15 seconds or less, just basically took fuel and headed off back into the dust. Our strategy, I guess, was basically just kind of being the ghost in the back. Everyone at Vegas to Reno is always kind of focusing on those top 5 guys. So we were just like, well, we're gonna sit in the back since we started 41st, and figured we would just kind of try to catch everybody as we could and run a safe pace and try to start hammering down towards the end of the race. So it was all going well until it wasn't. So.
Always say that, right?
Yeah, that's kind of everyone's story. Although I didn't say I was winning until I wasn't.
You're doing something right there, Jake. Mitch Paczynski says, Jake is a solid driver. One of the best Polaris has to offer. Signed on. He just needs better luck on his side.
Well, thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Would you put Jake above Brandon? I'm trying to stir the pot up here because we got Brandon coming up here in a minute, and I'd love to hear that one. So Jake, who's a better driver, you or Brandon?
Me for sure. He's just got better luck.
He's got better luck.
He's the leprechaun. He's tall, but he's still a leprechaun.
Well, it's sad to say that the finish didn't turn out the way you wanted it, but that's racing and it's a brand new car and things could be expected, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Just part of the game. So all in all, though, we went 300 miles with 0 issues before we started running into the problems. Mm-hmm. That was solid for a somewhat rushed car and kind of the first time out on that platform. So
well, only 80 test miles to go 300 race miles is pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, usually you're going to find a ton of stuff in the first 200 and not bad.
Yeah. So
you got plenty of time before Laughlin testing coming up?
Yeah, we've got a whole 2.5 weeks, so should be able to build a couple cars in that time frame.
Yeah, you've proven that you can do it. Thanks, left hand shake.
All right,
appreciate you coming in and sharing everything. Yep. Now go over there and smack Brandon in the nuts and tell him he can come in because he is the slower of the 2 Polaris drivers that are here on the feed today. Brandon Sims, thank you very much for coming in.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's turning into a thing now.
Yes, it is fairly normal. If I can just get you to do it faster than normal, then it would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm also working on that part of it.
It's okay, do your thing. But Brandon Sims, pro driver, Polaris, and plenty of accolades to his name. when you came into this race. How did you prepare for qualifying?
Well, obviously, I only did the Silver State 300 race, which was prior to this race, to actually get a good finish, to not have to, because we didn't know anything about qualifying at that point. So basically, I went to Silver State, wanted to get a podium finish or something in the top 10 so that I'd have a good start for Vegas to Reno. Ended up with a third there, so I thought for sure we were just going to be starting third at Vegas to Reno, and then they threw out the that we're going to be qualifying for Vegas to Reno, which is fine. I mean, I would have just happily taken my third, but qualifying is always fun too. Like Jake said, we kind of run a similar program. It's usually pretty limited people, and most of the team work full-time jobs, so taking off more time is the biggest side effect, in my opinion, of the qualifying. So,
Did you bring all the guys with you, or just one or two just for qualifying?
so all the guys, there was 4 of us total in my whole program for this race. So one truck,
One truck, 4
two
guys.
pit guys, and one driver, one co-driver. So in my entire program for this Vegas to Reno race, there was 4 people, and 2 people were in the car the entire time. So at every pit, I had 2 guys. So I mean, I had to wait for 2 or 3 guys to get off work so that we could actually go racing. So yes, that was the biggest side effect for us, is trying to. My time has been freed up in the last year, but that doesn't mean everybody else has free time. So like Jake said, that's the biggest side effect. As far as qualifying goes, qualifying's fun. I think it's more of an adrenaline rush than the actual race itself.
I agree.
Obviously, I need to work on my qualifying skills because I must be just super scared to break the car or what, but I think I qualified like 17th, and I honestly thought I had a nice, smooth run.
Do you know where I qualified?
Ahead of me is all I know.
I was 11th, sir. That would be 6 positions ahead of you. But I don't know, math, it's weird.
So yeah, I don't know if there was something that got stuck underneath the gas pedal during qualifying or what, but it just wasn't fast enough.
I got to share a text. So I texted Brandon, just, I don't know, rubbing it in that I finally beat him at something. And he texted me back. I asked why, he is, thanks for slowing down just to let me qualify ahead of him. And he texted me back and said, well, I have to have at least a couple people ahead of me to pass in the race. So that's kind of how this works.
It obviously is more fun, in my opinion, to actually do some passing during race day. I didn't really want to pass, 17 people, but I was hoping for like a top 10, and I didn't even get that. So next race, if we're doing qualifying, I'm going to have to do something a little bit different because 17th isn't going to cut it.
So you did pretty much nothing to your car for qualifying, right?
No, I think we just went through this. We talked about this. We just all talked a little bit together and kind of went over what we all did for qualifying. I actually pulled the tire, my spare tools out, and then I went, well, I've never really driven the car this way, and I definitely don't have it set it up for that kind of weight difference. So I put the spare tire back in and put everything back in it. I don't even think I checked the air pressure in the tires. I know everybody I saw letting air out of their tires because it was a sandy course. Mm-hmm. I think I ran like 24 pounds of air in my tires for the qualifying course. I was like, I know how the car works this way. So we just ran it basically race trim minus the fuel. That's the only thing I really changed. I had, I think, like 10 gallons of fuel for qualifying, where I usually run like 35 gallons of fuel for race day. So that was my biggest difference, and I went out there and ran it the way it was. I mean, it was a flawless run, but it was definitely, I wasn't pushing it. I wasn't biking it on the corners. It really didn't scare me at all, so that means I didn't push it hard enough.
It was definitely a flawless 17th performance.
It was definitely a flawless. Hey, and guess what? After qualifying, I didn't have to do much to the car. I put new tires on it, and we went and sat in the pool while all these people I was on Instagram, I saw everybody working on their cars, sweating it out. We were in the pool drinking some Coors lattes and stuff like that. So
Watching the natural fireworks, I saw.
Yes, yeah, it was quite enjoyable. I was thoroughly enjoying sitting in the pool while everybody else was working on their cars. So we didn't do anything besides put a fresh set of tires on it for race day.
So race day, it's mid-high 90s when we started, which is a lot better than 106 like last year. And you're in line forever, but they're splitting up the starting order by, or at least start times by a minute, which I thought was really awesome in getting the dust out of her face. Was that helpful in 17th?
It was. I actually had no dust for a long time. It was awfully different, though, because usually we start the race and we're dealing with dust instantly, especially Vegas to Reno, Silver State. I mean, those are, I call it silt to Reno, or, silty state, because it seems like we're just battling dust all day long. So it was kind of nice having that minute gap. Although the one thing I did notice is when you start catching dust, it seems to be like a little boost in your performance, and at this race I didn't catch any dust for a while, so I wasn't sure if I was running a quick enough pace. I wasn't being caught, but I wasn't catching anybody, so I was kind of like Didn't know really what was going on, but Seth Quintero started in front of me, and I know he's a fast guy, so I know he was actually leading the race on time for a while. So I basically ran into that issue, not really running into dust. I did have to get out of the car at like race mile 40. I was cruising and running fast, and the rear end locked up, and it sounded like my transmission exploded. I had no idea what happened, actually. So hopped out of the car and went to the back of the car. I didn't see any gear oil leaking out. I didn't see anything wrong. And then I looked into the left rear wheel just for some reason, and there was a rock, like a nice baseball-sized rock that was actually jammed up in the caliper and in the wheel, which I've never had happen before. I've heard about it. It's happened on my play cars, but it's never happened to me in a race. So I popped the car in reverse, backed up, the rock fell out. And at that point, basically, the rock was out. So we hopped back in the car, and 2 cars passed me in that time. So I got back on course and followed them for a little while. Was able to make it around them, and then had a pretty uneventful race for the rest of the race. I mean, minus passing, there was a lot of dust going on, and trying to make some time on the guys up front. And then I think like race mile 460-ish, somewhere like that. It was dark. I don't know. I was trying to catch down, or I knew I had like. Serapis was a good battle at that point. We were like 30 seconds ahead on time, still a little bit down on Dustin and Austin, but I just was like trying to get that podium. So we were running it hard, and I'm going down the straightaway, and it seemed like the car blew a belt. So I hopped out of the car, got the belt cover off, and the belt was still connected. So I was like, okay, I don't know what happened. So we got back in the car, put it in gear, and took back off. I left the belt cover off. We tossed it inside the car. Finished the race that way, so I don't know if either Skylar or I, one of us might have bumped the car into neutral because it definitely acted like it blew a belt, but there was no issue. So that was my 2 eventful parts of the day. Other than that, it was gas and go, and no other issues.
I'm surprised that in catching a rock that locked it up, that it didn't blow the wheel up, it didn't blow the caliper off of it. You know, that's pretty typical if you get something that big in there.
Yeah, and the weird thing is when it happened, the noise, you know, I thought the transmission blew up because it was a loud noise and it was locked up in the rear, and my brakes got soft. So what happened is it pushed the caliper out of the way and pushed the piston in a little bit, which, you know, was affecting my brakes. So that's what made me look into the wheel. But yeah, the wheel, I mean, it has some great gouges, and the rear brake calipers is torn up. I'll actually post pictures of it when I get the car torn apart. But the caliper was torn up, and this is like the beginning of the race, so I was kind of stressed about it for the entire race. But I never had any adverse effects after I got the rock out as far as the rear brakes, the wheel went. It's gouged up. You can definitely tell something went on, but no issues.
Then that means it's a perfect time to plug Method and Tensor.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Method wheel held up great. I mean, I'll post pictures of everything right there, and it must be just thick enough right there where the rock actually caught and scraped. You could tell it went around a couple times and then finally grabbed. Yeah, no issues.
And so you finished third?
We did finish third, and this has been my race nemesis. This is like, I've done really good at a lot of races. I've got tons of podiums, wins, but this race, I think my best finish ever is like 5th. And so basically, I mean, I was super pumped for that third.
Throughout the race, last question, did you have an idea where you were? Did you know that you were third? Did you know you were 5th? Did you have an idea where you were running?
So yeah, my 2 pit guys are actually got a pretty good effective system. My only 2 pit guys have a pretty effective system if you're keeping track of my team. It is half my team. Yeah. So they were actually taking pretty good split times on me. And I had an idea where I was at. Didn't mean I knew exactly where I was at. The other kind of thing I would do when we get to a speed zone or a section even that was like a straightaway, Skylar would pop out his phone and he's hopping on racing tracks while we're racing. And we're trying to look at that while I'm racing. He's like, you got this for a little bit? And I'll drive while he's kind of looking at it because I'm curious where we're at. I need to know if we're stepping it up or if we're running an okay pace. So between the split times that my team was giving me and the every once in a while, the time that Skylar would get out his phone.
I have never heard of any navigator getting on his cell phone in the race to get on racing tracks. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually have to use that one.
Yes, Chase.
I know you didn't see much dust out there, but you might have saw this man's dust. We got Mr. Austin Weiland on the line.
Austin on the line.
I think he started like 20 minutes ahead. No, like 10. I don't know. He started a lot of minutes in front of me. I don't think I ever saw his dust. I was trying to, but he was having a pretty good run.
Let me throw the introduction. Okay, so Austin Weiland on the line, you guys. This is the race winner for this year's Vegas to Reno. All of us kind of bow down to him at this race. And Austin, thanks for signing in.
I'll say he's probably the only one actually working today, too. What are you doing out there, Austin?
He don't work, believe me.
Some of us have to, Brandon. I'm just checking on job sites, driving around all day.
After a race win, it's not all glory and, hitting all the talk shows and stuff. I mean, this is all you got, this one?
Don't let him kid you. I just got off the phone with him. He says he's going testing this afternoon after just winning a race. I'm like, what do you need to test? He's like, oh, the car could have been a little bit better. And I'm like, what do you mean? Could you have gotten better than first? He's like, well, there's a couple little things I'm trying to address. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. Make your car faster.
Hey, Austin, what are you going to be testing later this afternoon on your car?
We're going to do some belt testing, some ducting to the belt housing, and test some clutches and some different issues. We suffered from high belt temps all day, so I want to try to find a way to cool those down a little more.
That's one thing that none of us actually talked about and throughout any of this is temps. I know that we dealt with a few. I pretty much heard everybody was dealing with temps. Are you willing to let everybody know what kind of engine and belt temps that you were dealing with when you won?
Yeah, so my engine temps, I never got it over 178. We actually put a new radiator in this new car and did a pressurized system on it, and it's been pretty good since then. But my belt temps from the start line, my belt was slipping. Before pit 1, I got on the radio to my dad. I was like, hey, I want to do a clutch change at pit 1. He's like, already? And then we ended up not doing that, but our belt temps all day were between 200 and 220, and I really couldn't get the car over like 82, 85 miles an hour.
Well, you should really start listening to your dad and change the clutches early. That's a solid advice. I would go with it next time because you definitely could have been faster.
Whatever gets you closer to Brandon, I think.
Yeah, it could have made up more time, though. If I changed it, could have been faster and made that time back up, though.
Yeah, I think next time you should risk it and try it.
Yeah. So after you started the race, Austin, and you realized you had some belt temps that you were dealing with, was there anything else that kind of slowed you down and you guys had to work through in the beginning of the race?
Just a lot of dust. It was dusty all day, so we just sat in dust all day, and then what pretty much I had to do, I couldn't run the straightaways very fast.
You're not getting any love over here. They're all kind of saying that you're kind of whining about it's so dusty up in first place.
I had 42 cars in front of me. How do you think that felt?
And a broken arm.
Yeah, and a broken arm.
Yeah, I didn't deal with the 10 cars and the 6100s.
Oh, working his way through all the big stuff.
You know who had
a point, man.
coming into the finish at night?
The dust was definitely stagnant in the mountains, I think. We definitely dealt with that, but not that it matters what we were dealing with. Back to your race report, man. After you started the race and you had belt issues, temp issues that you were dealing with, an 85-mile-an-hour max in the straightaways, what else? Coming up into your fuel pit, how'd that go?
Yeah, so we just pretty much what I had to do is I had to sit on the straightaways at just monitor my belt temps, and then when we got to the rough stuff and we got in the washes, I was able to push the car and we just drove it at 100% in there and hope for the best to make up time through those areas. And that's where I ended up catching up to a lot of people. And then when I passed Guthrie for the physical lead, I caught up to him. He was stuck in a one-car's traffic, and then I was sitting behind him, and then he passed that guy and then blew a belt. And then luckily it was right going into a pit, and that one car pulled over and I got by him. And then from there, I knew leaving pit 12, I had about 3 seconds on Dustin. So I just pushed all the way to the finish line from pit 12 at 100% and threw it all caution to the wind.
How do you and your team track everybody else so that you know where your splits are and you have a good idea what you have to do to win?
We were using racing tracks a lot, but I usually print a start order, but with qualifying I wasn't able to. So we ended up doing some physical time, but mostly racing tracks for the most part was our saving grace all day.
Were you able to pace yourself to keep first, or were you pretty much on it the whole time to make sure you kept first?
Early on in the race, I think Dustin Jones he passed me physically when I was in a pit, and I think he had to put about 6 minutes on me. So after that, I kind of knew that I need to pick my pace up and just push the car all the way through. So I would say I was pushing most of the day, not much relaxing.
I know you drove the whole race. Did you find yourself kind of running out of energy or anything towards the end, slowing down? Did your navigator have to kind of slap you in the leg and say, pick it up, or were you pretty good the whole time?
I was good the whole time. I think mostly because I was involved in trying to get the lead of the race. So the adrenaline was rushing. So I didn't really even get tired at all.
That's badass, man. There's nothing more energetic than knowing you're going to win, or at least you're fighting for it, right? I wouldn't know. How does that feel, Brandon?
You know what? Lots of times you start running through like who you need to thank.
Yeah.
And then you're like 30 miles from the finish and you're thinking, man, I got to start thinking about who I got to thank. I can't miss somebody. Boom, there goes a rock, a tire, a belt, and you go, oh no. Yeah, that's the worst. So I try not to even start thinking about that. But yes, there's no doubt that the adrenaline that comes from knowing that you're battling for a first place or that you have the potential of getting a first place finish, there's a lot of adrenaline that comes along with that. And all you can think about is don't mess it up.
Austin, did you know that you had first place when you crossed the finish line, or did you have to wait for Best in the Desert to confirm 100% in your mind? And if you had to wait, what is that like?
It was pretty. I was sitting there. I crossed the finish line, and Christian Serapis and Nolan Rudd started a timer on their phones. And right when it crossed 3 minutes, I was like, I think I got it. And then we go over to the podium and we park there, and they're like, oh, we don't know who got it yet. So I'm sitting there like, okay, my team told me, everyone else told me I got it, but apparently we didn't get it yet. And then they're all, you won by 3 seconds. I'm like, whoa, I was told it was 3 minutes.
3 seconds.
Yeah.
Was that really the actual split?
No, that's just what they've told him.
At the time.
Yeah, Austin knew he won, but they were telling him that they weren't sure yet. So we were all at the finish line together. And then Austin's like, yeah, I know I got it, but they're telling me 3 seconds. And I'm like, oh, dang.
So what'd you guys do to party after the race?
We just went out to dinner, drank a bunch of beers, and then headed home on Saturday morning to get back to work.
And that's where you're at right now. It's pretty cool and honestly humbling to see the race winner back at work right now and going back out with his car to improve it after he's won America's longest race.
Yeah, we got back Sunday. I had to do a bunch of paperwork, went right back to work Monday, and then I was like, hey, Dad, I think I want to go test tomorrow. I think we can find more speed to keep in front of Brandon every race.
Jake, you got any questions for Austin? Maybe how to keep from breaking your wrist in qualifying, or
advice. I don't know. Maybe how to go fast.
Yeah, that'd be nice if he had a 1-sentence answer to that question. I think that's more like a book. That's for sure. Austin, thank you very much. Congratulations on winning the race. Appreciate you calling in and sharing everything with everybody that's watching this. And good luck in Laughlin.
Thanks. I think we might be skipping Laughlin and headed straight to the 400 to go for that points championship. We haven't decided
yet.
So Justin has a chance.
Thank you, Austin. I needed that.
He's getting in your head now.
He's psyching you out. He's making you think he's not coming.
Maybe Blurton will go to the 400 too.
Ooh, I'll call him. I'll see how much that'll cost.
One more time. What did you say, Austin? You there?
I say there's only a week between Laughlin and the 400, so not enough time to prep it. So I think we're going to end up switching to focus on just that. But I want to race Laughlin with you guys. It's a fun course.
Well, come out and hang out in the pits if you have time. Thanks a lot for phoning in. Appreciate it, man. Don't work too hard, and good luck at the 400.
The champion himself.
I think he's so lax about winning. I was really hoping for him to just rub it in even more.
Yeah, I don't think he's gotten to that level yet, but he will. Don't worry. Just let him.
Oh, speaking from personal experience, has your hat size gone bigger?
No, it's doubled. I figured
double.
I got a haircut so I could put it back down.
Ah, there it is. Perfect. Well, I think that this is pretty awesome, being able to talk to everybody honestly about what happened in their races. We have not only people that want to go racing watching what we're doing, but we have also racers watching what we're doing right now. And you guys being able to help them with just the simple experience of what your race was like and how you had to go through different problems to overcome to become third place or a podium finisher. And Austin didn't have a completely trouble-free race either with temps, although he didn't have to get out of the car, which is really key right now. Everybody is so fast and the pace is incredible. Jake, what do you think of the pace these days? Do you think it's gone up in the last few years, or has it always been super fast and it's just slow guys like me figuring it out?
Yeah, I think it's gone up for sure, but I think also, it used to be, it's the pace, but also everyone used to brake. The cars have just gotten stronger and faster and more reliable, I guess. So, you know, you used to be able to get out of the car and change a belt or a tire or whatever and still be on the podium, but now you get out once, you're pretty much done. I mean, obviously Brandon was able to get out a couple of times on this really long race, but especially on the short races,
You don't have the time.
you have 0 time. So you got to be on your game.
So next race is even shorter, 180 miles-ish, maybe 200 max, say 10 lap, 18 miles. Do you even bring tools? Do you even bring a spare on this?
I mean, maybe to get you back to the pits, but not to win a race.
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of pointless.
Yeah,
just for
it's
race
100% run it as hard as you can race, and if you have an issue, you're not on the podium. It's going to be a given. So you better have a perfect race if you plan on hitting the podium. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I was super surprised about Vegas to Reno. I haven't made it to the finish line in the last 2 years. It's been like 3 years since I've been there. I think we actually left the line later than normal because, I mean, the split times between trophy trucks or the first 20 and everybody. And, I mean, I only ran in the dark for like an hour, which was awfully strange to me. I remember, I feel like finishing always at midnight to 1 o'clock, and that was a good run. I mean, that was a top 10 run.
It's almost 100 miles less.
Yeah,
was it?
It was shorter.
Yeah,
It's usually towards the 550 range.
Man, I really like racing at night. I wish it would have gone more into the night. You know,
You like night racing?
Oh, I love night racing.
Oh, you're such an ass.
Yeah.
I hate night racing.
All the youngsters do. Well, he's not young, but us young guys like it.
Oh, you all like nighttime?
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess after watching Matlock, I'm asleep.
I love racing at night. And you know, the other thing is you've got light sponsors and stuff that how do you promote a light company when you're not racing at night, you know? So, I mean, I think it's super fun, and it separates a lot of people. I mean, I know that your eyes start to go away as you get older, and some people just don't have good eyes.
He's experiencing it. That's how he knows.
Not yet. Even if I am, I'm not going to admit it because I'll let, I'll have a bad race at night and be like, it was my eyes. But,
by the way, did you see they screwed up his birthday?
No, that's
qualifying.
normal. Just normal.
Did they make you
They
60
said he was
years old?
born in 92 instead of 81.
Yeah, I'm 29.
Oh, 29.
I'm sticking with it. And
39. You know, another year it's completely over. Speaking from experience, you're screwed. Yeah. Just phone it in.
we'll figure that out next race.
Sean, what are you guys going to do for race car prep / changes for Laughlin? Do you have plans on cutting the weight in half or, doubling the power or something ridiculous like that in a short race?
We're not really doing much of that. We got that car, obviously, when we're building these things, we get them as light as we can from the get-go. We'll probably take the tools out. Bruce might want to still run a spare tire, so we'll probably end up running a spare tire for that. But we're putting all fresh drivetrain in it and go do some more testing and some shock testing because there's some big bumps at Laughlin, so we're going to get ready for that.
Awesome. How about yourself, Jake? Any plans? You want to give away some secrets? The secret race-winning sauce?
I'm just going to try to have a solid car. That's my only
Not
plan.
break a wrist?
Yep, not break anything, especially not another bone, and
Keep both hands on the steering wheel.
stay away from Chase.
I have a really awesome race plan and race prep for Laughlin. I'm going to walk around the pits before the race, and I'm going to add 100 pounds to everyone else's back tire. All three of these guys are going to have some extra weight that they're not going to count on, and I hope that's enough.
You never know. My car works pretty good heavy. Well, I'm not even going to do anything. I think I'm going to put a new rear brake caliper on it.
Rub it in. Great.
And I'm going to put all the weight into it so that it works good through the one whoop section, and then just hope for the rest of the course it's all right.
I know we were supposed to have him on the feed. I don't see Phil Blurton, and everyone is asking, what happened to Phil Blurton?
Actually, I don't know what happened. Do you guys know physically what happened to him? And I know he had a short race. I know that he couldn't fix the car, but I don't know what it was.
I don't either. I saw it on the side of the course, which you don't see very often, well, if not ever. But I just saw it on the side of the course. Co-driver and driver were out. And you don't see that often, but I don't know what happened to the car. They were safe. They didn't wreck. It was just on the side of the course.
I know that he wasn't feeling well. I don't know exactly why, and he was late to the line because he wasn't feeling well. So maybe that carried over into a few things too. But I know it was mechanical that actually got him eventually.
Yeah, the heat just at the beginning of this race is always a factor for driver, co-driver, and machine itself. So I mean, if you're not feeling well, I'm sure the heat just exemplifies that, and it makes it super unenjoyable.
Yeah. So Matt, here's everybody's chance to have a question that Matt can read. You don't have a mic, by the way. You need to come over here. But if any of you have any questions, let's make it a rapid fire, and we'll bang them out really quick before we split. Matt, come on closer to the phone.
Jay Hooks wants to know, is there really any benefit to qualifying?
I'll go first. I think qualifying is awesome. I mean, I'd rather have it in my fate to ruin the starting position than have it out of a draw. I think it's exciting. I don't get nervous for the race. I got nervous for qualifying, and that was fun. So I don't think I really like building a completely different car to go qualifying. I kind of would rather just race the car and whatever it is. But this is, it's racing, and everybody has their own way of doing it. Brandon, qualifying, yes or no?
Yes, although it does take away, obviously, more money, more crew, more effort. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to determine my starting position, not a random draw.
Yeah. Jake, what do you think?
On the positive side, I think it's nice in qualifying to have a chance to run your car in addition to just being in the race. So if something happens, sucks that you don't have a good starting position, but you at least figure it out before you're in the race. So that's nice. And also, I like to start up front too. So
that would mean you'd have to actually qualify well. just saying. Yeah. Sean, your opinion on qualifying?
And I think a majority of people think too, qualifying's good for a couple numerous reasons. The safety aspect. If you're a confident, fast, like some of these guys are here, running up front, consistent car, it's a little safer for everybody to go racing and not have the opportunities to make those bigger mistakes. So I'm all for qualifying.
That brings up another good point, and except
for when the inexperienced people just throw it all out on the line and
you got that.
Do whatever they do, and then they're up in front
That's
in
valid.
your way. So
I will tell you this, and I think it was a combination of Best in the Desert increasing the splits for the start, but also qualifying, that the top 10 guys were all fast, or at least have the pace to be in the top 10, and then split by a minute instead of 30 seconds. I felt like that everybody was running about the same pace, and there was very little people being held up. Mm-hmm. And so that was a benefit. I thought that was really cool because qualifying created that. And if you have bad qualifying, you have to go through everybody like what would be a normal draw race. Mm-hmm. But if you have a decent qualifying, then you actually have people around you that are paced.
So do you know if Best in the Desert's going to continue to do that on these long races, or if this like a one-time thing that we actually did this 1 minute split?
Alan's watching the feed. Ask him.
You know what? Alan, you can let us know if that's going to continue. I thought Vegas to Reno killed it on that split. I thought it was good.
I thought it was a lot safer, and everything about it was good. I mean, I couldn't see any kind of adverse effects of starting with the 1 minute splits.
All our viewers are saying everyone liked watching it from home.
So live. I will tell you, the Best in the Desert invested a lot of money in that. It's very expensive to do a live broadcast for a full day, and I don't know that they could sustain it because we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I, for one, would rather pay another $100 an entry fee to make sure that happens, so that they have it all the time. I think that's better for all of our sponsors. It's better for us. I don't know what you guys think, but I would.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know a lot of people that actually ended up watching the live feed because they thought it was great to watch. I mean, you got to, rather than being there, you only need to see one spot, I mean, being able to see the whole course basically on the qualifying and stuff was super important. It's just like going to a sporting event. I'd much rather watch it on TV, minus the atmosphere that you get, but you see a lot more.
Better experience a bit. Matt, you had a good question?
Yeah, Steve Mueller said, ask Brandon when the new unicorn is coming.
I have no idea what he's talking about. So until
is that Speed UTV or your next car?
What?
I'd like to build. I'd like to build a new car at some point.
Speed UTV's coming?
Yeah. Oh, that one's never coming. I can answer that one. You guys wasted your money.
The viewers might know something you don't. They're asking, when is Brandon building a new car?
I just got mine figured out. Actually, this is its third Vegas to Reno.
But it's only 2 years old.
But it's only 2 years old. Yeah. I want to be building a new car. It's just a matter of time. I've got this one pretty figured out. Just kind of trying to see. I kind of was waiting to see what Can-Am came out with to see if I was going to build a new car. The new Pro XP platform is pretty sweet. I don't know if I'd go with a 2-seat or a 4-seat chassis. He went from a 4-seat to a 2-seat chassis. I was always a 2-seat chassis guy, and he had a 4-seater, and now I really like my 4-seat chassis. I don't know if I could ever go back to a 2-seat platform. I'm so much more comfortable in it in the big long races. The the 2-seat platform, I think, is a benefit on certain races, but the 4-seat, I do a lot of Baja races and stuff. I couldn't see enjoying it in a 2-seat car. Especially, he was the always one telling me that my 2-seater was miserable to drive.
Yeah.
Judging by how Jacob's race went, I think you might want to stick with the old car and the 4-seater.
Yes, I really love my 4-seat chassis. There's no doubt.
I think that 4-seaters are at home in Mexico.
Yes, yeah,
for sure. But I think the lighter weight in Best in Desert would be the direction I would go, like Jake had gone.
Yeah,
but also, I am also speaking from someone that finished behind you, so don't listen to anything.
I mean, this is my car's third podium in a row on. Well, Baja's different, but Silver State I figured would be a 2-seat, platform race, and obviously I was able to get my 4-seat on the podium again. So I think there's benefits and disadvantages to both sides. It's super hard,
For sure.
Ramp Rat 94, it was cool seeing Justin in the Best in the Desert booth on the live feeds too.
Thank you, appreciate it. That was a lot of fun. I had a good time, and if they invite me back next time, then we'll have more in store.
It's nice to have somebody that knows, the racers themselves, the cars themselves, rather than having a random person. So having him in there for the UTV section, I think is super important because he knows everybody and knows what he's looking at. And if anybody has any questions, he can answer them usually.
Well, next time I'll have more stories about behind the scenes and you and Skylar on the phone checking.
Yeah, we're giving you our secret
racing tracks from the navigation seat while in a race on your cell phone. That's the biggest thing that I learned in this whole feed.
You think you could drive without your navigator telling you where to go?
Absolutely not. I've tried. It's not worked. No.
That's when he hits mud puddles.
Mud puddles. That was a lake, okay?
Yeah.
Let's get it straight. It was like, parting the seas.
Believe it or not, Skylar actually blasted off a few emails in the passenger seat because he was at work that day and had to check in. So every once in a while, he'd get out his phone and be like, hold on a second, I got to get this. I'm like, all right. He's like, you got this for a minute? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And he's actually blasted out a few emails.
What do you got, Matt?
Son Philip wants to know, Jake, how is the 2-seater compared to the 4-seat for you?
I really enjoy the 2-seater so far. Yeah. This has nothing to do with the 2-seater. I enjoy the 2-seater so far. I mean, I think there's a lot of potential with it that could come from the smaller chassis. But I'm just getting into it, so I'm not positive yet. But give me a couple months and ask me again.
Well, with that being said, have you guys got anything else you want to add before we get out of here and let you go back to your day?
Man,
what's your? You know what? How about this? How about a friendly bet?
Oh.
I have not thought about this in advance, so let's sort this out right now. Okay.
Okay.
How about I don't know, whatever amount of money you guys want to talk about? Like, how about $1? $1 on the finishing order for Laughlin. So, how about?
Cap on that?
I'm the one that needs the handicap.
I'm the handicap one.
Tell you what, you can do whatever you want. I will wear your wrist brace to get a handicap. If
well, that hurts me even worse.
How about a signed dollar bill, which is more valuable than $100?
Man, you just up to my whole prep program. I was going to run this thing pretty like I just finished it, but now I'm going to have to go home and replace a bunch of parts.
Now there's $1 on it?
This signed dollar is a big deal.
Another deal. So I fully expect to pay out 4 times here, but I'm just going to do it for the heck of it. We have a bet on the line, solid. How about a signed dollar bill on finishing order? Whoever is first wins all the money. Second place gets nothing but gets paid by third and fourth. And third place gets nothing but gets paid by fourth. Fourth has to pay everybody, so that means fourth place is paying out $4.
That sounds like a deal I can
right.
afford.
You guys get it? And they're all signed dollars. You can sign it any way you want, but it's going on the wall.
Cool. Let's do it.
All right, good?
Yeah. A signed dollar from Justin around here is worth a pretty penny.
It's pretty valuable. We have a lot of signed dollars around here. None of them have my name on it. So.
Hey, whoever won your weight dollar?
It actually is Ernie because he guessed the heaviest. The car was heavier than your guess by a long shot, and I'll share that later. But it is on the wall if you guys want to watch.
Unbelievable.
Heavier than
you had me fooled.
Yeah.
You had me fooled.
Heavier than all of us thought. I will tell you that.
So how heavy is it?
What's that?
So how heavy is it?
2,400.
I wonder what mine weighs. I've never weighed it.
I think yours is 25.
You think?
I think you're heavier than us, and you're still
I'm
faster
for
than us.
sure heavier than you. I mean,
Yeah.
not here, but there.
Well, in both. And you're still faster, so there's a lot to be said for that.
Interesting.
Anyway, you guys, thank you very much. Brandon, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Jake, thank you very much for coming over here. Sean, thank you. And also Bruce for signing in. And Austin, thanks for taking time out of your work day before testing your car again. That's crazy. The race winner, I appreciate you calling in and sharing everything with us. And Skylar in the background, thanks for showing up the last minute. The cutest one of the bunch. Signed dollar bills. Tune in for Laughlin. And after that, we'll probably meet back over here to pay up. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Have a great day. We'll see you on Thursday.